effectiveness and efficiency, dissatisfaction of citizens, and lack of good governance forced to undertake the new public management paradigm since the 1990s, which is mainly running government functions and operations like a business, which is under the business principles. However, particularly for developing countries and some developed world, this paradigm is not properly worked, and this initiates that the emergence of the another paradigm shift, which is called new public service delivery paradigm, that emphasizes and revolve mainly creating democratic citizenship, where initiated by 7 different peculiar principles like serve citizens and all customers, seek the public interest, think strategically and act democratically, and most importantly, recognize that accountability is not simple. This reforms and transformation of public sector is insisted by different factors. From those different factors, the evolution of e-government and emergence of information communication technology is shift how government interact with its business and citizens and business how interact with their government. Due to the positive linkage between the technology, knowledge, and citizens' involvement in policy making, policy formulation, policy implementation, as well as policy evaluations. This public sector transition from closed top-down and paper-based file transactions to multi-diagonal and multi-dimensional approaches, communications, interactive, open, and two-way communications between business, citizens, and government. E-government enables that citizens and service users can offer more than one service at a time using the different platforms. For example, in Brazil, the citizen can offer more than 500 services at a time using an internet gateway from different public sectors, only available at somewhere else, using 24 hours per 7 days availability of those services. Not only this platform, particularly government platform, enabled that reducing different transactional and admin cost of public service delivery, both from public sector perspectives and service user perspectives. For example, in Kenya, the Kenyan Public Sector Commissions before introduced online recruitment, selection, and placement platform, it cost more than 300 million shillings per annum, while after introducing such online platform, it costs only 31 million per annum. Mind that the difference of this figure. Therefore, this platform and evolution of public sectors have a great impact on public service delivery, not only from perspectives of public sectors, but also from public and service users' perspective. When back to that, and back to the previous studies and researches of e-government have emphasized on digitalizing and computerization of government business and operations, like portal development and straightforward matters, and most importantly, the status of electronic government projects. However, a government is not meant to that digitalizing all existing of government on the web page and websites, but also it's meant to be beyond, like online tracking of different public services, online registration for different services, as well as online bids and contract for a different public contract, e-consultation, telemedicine, and most importantly, online discussion forums for public sector managers that will have a great impact on improving service qualities of public service delivery. When we looked at the government of Ethiopia has identified 79 informational and 140 transactional, in total of 219 electronic service since 2010. However, those platforms have not successfully implemented. Accordingly, the Ministry of Communication, Information and Technology have identified, due to the problems of digital divide, the government strategy does not consider and take into account the uptake aspect of services as well as low internet penetration. and lack of awareness. And different public sector government projects does not consider with an integrated approach, according to Ministry of Communication Information Technology. Even though a government is challenged by the aforementioned problems and challenges, including technological illiteracy and so forth, still, public sector organizations have missed the potential of such platforms to improving public service qualities from perspectives of efficiency, effectiveness, as well as reduction of transactional costs is the point of departure and argument for this study. After critical reviews of both theoretical and empirical evidence of the e-government platforms, the research have developed this conceptual framework that e-government as a predictor factor and service quality as independent variables of the study, where e-government is measured through e-government platform usability, interoperability and collaborations among public sector organizations, ICT hardware and software configurations, and public-private partnership in selection of appropriate technologies, consultancy training, as well as software development and rollout. Where to meet this research, the research have raised 3 different questions. Those questions are how e-government platforms positively influence and affect effectiveness of public service delivery. What are the effects of e-government on reducing different costs of public service delivery from public sector perspectives as well as from service users' perspective. And the third question that how e-government platform affect the efficiencies of service delivery paradigm as the quest of this research. These research questions to answer and meet, the research have applied explanatory research type, which try to explain the relationship between dependent and independent variables, as well as the predictor factors, how much predicting the service qualities, whereby efficiency, effectiveness, and cost reductions. To meet this, the research has applied multi-stage sampling techniques, which is first that the Federal Document Authentication and Registration Agency branches were considered as strata. From those strata, proportional sample size was drawn. Again, from this proportional sample size, a systematic sampling method was applied. And the research approach was a mixed approach, both quantitative and qualitative research. From the quantitative aspect of the research, data were analyzed through multiple linear regression analysis model, as you observe in the slide, that Y considered as service qualities, which is expressed through efficiency, effectiveness, and cost reduction of service delivery as dependent variables, whereas platform usability, hardware and software configurations, partnership, and interoperability considered as the explanatory variable or predictors. This data was substantiated and triangulated through qualitative data also. The qualitative data were collected through interview and observations. Those data is analyzed and passed through 5 different steps: assembling or field notice, and disassembling, code and recode the field notice, reassemble that, substantiate with which is support for analysis, interpret, and concluding. And also this data was substantiated with a frequent website, web content analysis of the agency. This is all about that, the methodology and the general approach of the study. When I pass to result and discussion, this study has confirmed that the implementation of different e-government platforms have a positive associations in explaining efficiencies and effectiveness of public service delivery. The association level is explained through ICT configurations, ICT hardware and software configurations with around 47% where the total variance and confidence interval of 95%, where the p-value is less than 0.001, as well as this research have confirmed that implementation of e-government platforms have a significant contribution on reduction of different public service delivery costs. This also explained by e-government platform usability more than 44%, and ICT and hardware and software configurations more than 47%, interoperability more than 20%, and partnership more than 10%, with a statistically significant at a 95 confidence interval, where the p-value is less than 0.001. When we look at the interoperability and sectoral collaborations in delivering of public service delivery, as you always know that the service nature of Federal Document Authentication and Registration Service is interrelated with Urban Land Management Office, the Court, Minister of Justice, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Transport Authority, and so forth. Therefore, this needs the interoperability or collaborations for delivering the specific public service of the agency. However, the interoperability and the data extranet data exchange trend is very poor. This is due to that the poor implementation of extranet data exchange of electronic government platforms. When we looked at the extranet and electronic data exchange trends, enables that different authorized individuals and public sectors can share, refer, verify, and authenticate data using electronic communications. However, due to the difference in deviate implementation of e-government platforms in the country, that is difficult. Not only this across departments, from one department to the other department. This trend is also very poor in the organization. The other, even though there is no in existence, that online discussion forum and e-sessions should be pay attention for the e-government platform implementation, whereby this platform enables that public sector organization managers, instead of leaving their office and close, come together a single hall, like just us, they can decide on issues on being their office available if there is online discussion forum is implemented. However, this study is confirmed that the agency have not any online discussion forum. When it comes to that, effectiveness and efficiencies of public service delivery is explained and improved through citizens and customers, and most importantly, service users keep informed when, how, and where they can offer and access different services, as well as it conditioned new service delivery modalities comparing to traditional service delivery mechanisms. And also, this platform enabled that automating different services and replace paper files into electronic file database management and data warehouse. And it also enabled that identifying fraud and deceive acts easily, referring by the data, the central data storages, mean that have a great impact on reducing corruptions and maladministration activities. Also, this platform enables that customers and service users can access using a one-stop and single-window shop services instead of go here and there. These have a great impact on improving service qualities, particular efficiency and effectiveness. A government platform reducing different transactional and admin costs that reduce fuel costs and admin costs. For example, previously, before this, the agency introduced electronic data exchange system as well as e-sale or electronic sale of car share, building, and so forth. It costs, a customer is expected to cost 350 to 550 Ethiopian birr per a single sheet. However, after introducing this electronic sale, this cost is totally overridden. As well as online service of 3 different services of the agency: general power of attorney, family power of attorney, and general service advocacy attorney service are available on the electronic, that is 24 hours per 7 days, that enable customers access anytime and anywhere using electronic platforms. most importantly, the introduction of electronic attendance online service platform that reducing the operation, the government office hour wastage of, as well as these electronic queue management systems, automatically customers are registered for the service at the time of their arrival, which have a great impact on reducing customer grievances, which is previously considered as the headache of the organization. What challenges are identified by this study? This research have identified the impediment factors that affect implementation of e-government in public sectors. One, leadership reluctance and ignorance, and low and poor customer awareness, particularly refuse to use electronic sale and e-platforms of the organization. And technological literacy is another impediment factor. Weak sectoral interoperability and e-government platform implementations. Most of public sectors still prefer to stay with traditional public service delivery modalities, and also that underutilized and utilized partnership modality, and unavailability of human resource functions, even human resource management functions, and lack of clear roadmap for solving the existing technological literacy, as well as government, sectoral government platform implementations. What conclusions are made based on this evidence? Empirically, this study have confirmed that e-government platform implementation have a great impact on minimizing different service delivery costs, as well as increasing efficiencies and effectiveness of service delivery. And there is low attention of public sector organizations for the promising potential of e-government in supporting those service deliveries. And most importantly, leadership commitment problem. Therefore, it is need to be nurtured transformational leadership, emphasizing on human side and human element before implementing such different platforms, as well as the policy should be evidence-based and contextualized, and considering that e-government is not a policy fashion of and the existing global public administration arena. Therefore, continuous awareness creation for citizens using different modalities, as well as printed and unprinted policy advocacy and awareness creation campaigns, as well as generally, Government of Ethiopia and Ministry of Communication and Information Technology specifically should be follow up, supervise, intervene, and support on the interoperability of and sectoral government implementation through timely monitoring and evaluation of performances against the pre-stated plan of e-government implementation. Finally, but not least, this area is still under-researched, and it is an opportunity for interested scholars for research that will be contributed for policy impetus. This is all about what I have. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, Tom.
You have mentioned public-private partnership, PPP, underutilized in your finding. It's not clear because do you think there is a PPP framework in Ethiopia? And if it is available, how can you measure it is underutilized? Because PPP, as far as the current status is concerned, is still under process. So to clarify, my question is, you mentioned there is underutilization of public-private partnership, PPP. So how did you measure that? And can you elaborate more about your finding regarding PPP? That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Claire, for your presentation. When it comes to e-government or e-governance and mobile governance, especially when you talk about the implementation framework, one of the important components is the legal framework. Have you tried to see any anything that can, supplement the legal framework with this aspect? Because especially when you move to the business sector, as a client or as a customer, I'll be curious how, the law is going to support me for any kind of electronic transactions or electronic interactions that I make with the public or with different companies. So have you tried to see the legal elements and how it can be integrated with your framework? Thank you.
Thank you. My question is about the interoperability weakness that is becoming a very, very costly phenomenon currently. If you see, an organization may implement any governance that can get the service that organization may require. The same, another organization may implement that e-governance for the same purpose. This may incur much cost than centralizing that e-governance. If it can be implemented in an organization and then shared or interoperable, it can incur more or less cost than scattered one. On this area, do you have any action or do you have any plan to take an action of taking this scattered implementation of e-governance of the same service, is my question. And another is, the most important problem of implementing e-governance is awareness of the sector. When I say the sector, the user themselves, usually the resistance, lack of awareness comes from themselves. And how do you plan, or do you have any plan to undertake these problems? Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 questions. Please.
Sorry.
Because it is you.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask this one because I have seen it before. My question is on the methodology. You used a regression analysis, which is common. That's good. And you found some of the results according to your parameters. In my view, I haven't seen any data validation technique that you validate your data. And this is one. And the other is, as you may have been through, in a government implementation, there are so many studies by different scholars. So you haven't compared your, because this regulation analysis has been made by different scholars, and they have used different parameters other than this. That's what I appreciate. You used the different parameters specific to Ethiopia, but some of them, of course, common. So have you gone through some of the researches where other scholars have been made, and have you compared your result? That's my question.
Okay, good. Please respond, Kifle. Until then, Yosef, please get ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you anyone who have forwarded different questions for me. Let me begin with the first question. Underutilized public-private partnership. This research have done, try to operationalize what is public-private partnership. This operationalization was measured through how much or how far different state and non-state actors, including private sectors, engaged in software development and software rollout. One, the other parameter, to what extent those different partners provide training and consultant services for those different public sectors. And the other one, so what the partnership is that simply software development, rollout, implementation, then withdraw or not. This was my emphasis. And still, I have observed that since the document authentication and registration have implemented this e-government platform 9 years ago, have only one partner, which is Castor PLC, that development, software development and rollout. However, I have observed there may be different problems, and there may not enough playing grounds for partners engaging in those areas. However, still there is underutilized on the existing services in providing such services. And those partnerships may not limit only in private enterprises. What about the government enterprise itself? What about the development partners? And instead of assisting development activities, why not they participate in interoperability, partnership? Let me write off the second question. Legal framework of e-government platform implementations. Yes, of course, there is a legal framework that is already developed by Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. The legal document is available. However, this legal policy document is not properly implemented. That's my argument. What is the reason behind? That consider or contextualize the national ongoing activities or not. And there may be a privacy concern and problems of, especially if there is a financial transactions using those different platforms, that is the privacy concern and legal framework is required. Therefore, as far as my knowledge is concerned, there is a room for implementing different platforms using those type of different legal frameworks, including the policy documents and the other implementation action plans. The third question with interoperability and geographical scatter of public sector. This is the most headache implementation of e-government. As far as I know that those different services of the agency, particularly Federal Document Registration and Authentication Agency service, is interrelated with, as I have mentioned, from Ministry of Justice, from courts, from urban land management offices, and from Ministry of Foreign Affairs and so forth. Those public sectors have not a platform that enable to extranet and electronic database exchange systems. Therefore, it results that different costs up and down of customers as well as high transactional cost of service delivery. I recommend that the Ministry of Communication Information Technology as well as the government of Ethiopia have to be craft a clear roadmap to implement such type of different platform with a clear monitoring and evaluation checklists across public sector organizations. That will be solve the existing interoperability problems and enable to customers access a single services with a single window and a single public sector, instead of go here and there, go Minister of Justice, go Transport Authority, and so forth. That is my reflection on this. The other thing, resistance and refuse to use different platform from the customers or citizen perspective is the another impediment factor. For your surprise, I have told you that there are different online services provided by the agency, which is 3 general power of attorney, family power of attorney, as well as general advocacy service attorney services. Different individuals have know-how. There is the services that access easily 24 hours per 7 days without geographical and time limitation and wait for the operation of the office. However, still the customer is not aware. Not only this, the electronic selling of house, share, car and building, also it is electronic based. Still customers refuse to use it and they cost more than 350 to 550 birrs per a single sheet document. This is, I hope that the awareness problem. Therefore, this awareness problem will curve by continuous and unending awareness campaign through printed, non-printed medias, and campaign, awareness creation campaign with a key stakeholders and citizens will be solve these problems. Let me pass the last question, which is forwarded from the audience. The data validation technique under the methodology section, which is have used the multiple linear regression analysis models. The data validation technique were checked through correlation coefficient analysis and multi-collinearity tests through testing the interrelationship among the predictor variables. Therefore, that was another data validation technique. And the comparisons with the previous studies under the full paper, which is already published on the proceeding, you can find that I try to triangulate and check my results with different scholars' researches. This is my reflections that I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kifle. I hope some notes are being taken by the implementers, concerned authorities. Next presenter, please.
Thank you very much. Our work is evaluation of image features for the detection of miliary tuberculosis pathology. I am Youssef from Hawassa University, and my co-editors, Mr. Gadamu, is a MSc holder in Adama Science and Technology University, and Professor Dr. Engineer Hakim, he was a guest researcher in Adama Science and Technology University, now is in Germany. Our content of presentation is introduction. This is the motivation of our work, and state of the art or related researches, pre-processing and future for miliary TB detections, and future evaluation of matrix. Finally, the conclusion and future works will be present. As you know, tuberculosis is a dangerous disease in the world. Even World Health Organization has announced it as one of the primary world health threats. In developing countries, tuberculosis have very high burdens, especially in Ethiopia, lack of medical infrastructure for mass screening. Not only medical infrastructures, but also the proportion of physicians or radiologists and the population is unproportional. So a lot of people are suffered by this disease. So what shall I do? So what shall we contribute for this thing? Due to this, we reviewed a lot of papers according to the CAD or computer-aided diagnosis system has been suggested to automate mass screening for computer-aided by using the mobile chest X-ray. These systems are working or making using a high dimensionality feature space. Depending on this, we are contributed something. So our contribution suggests are a priori metric to identify a significant feature of miliary TB detection. So there is some manifestations of miliary TB in the image. These images are miliary TB that are detected by the physicians and the appearance of the miliary TB manifestation is only texture features. That is why it's different from other types of tuberculosis. It has woolly texture features, and these bacterial diseases are distributed all over the lung fairly and equally, like a melt seeds, like small seeds that distributed all over the lungs in the two lung wings, in the two sides of lung wings. And it has 1 up to 5 millimeter diameters with the median of 2 millimeters. But there are another diseases. There are another diseases with similar manifestation patterns, like miliary TB. So what shall I do for these things? It should have a cross-clinical coordinations for working this system. So what are our state-of-art and the steps to detect the miliary TB? First, we have gray level images. These gray level images are input to the pre-processing stage. First, we scale the image. What is the need of scaling the image? Because in order to create the same scale of nodules from different exposures and different sizes, so it's made to arrange in the same all of the data sets. How to scale the image? Using 14 pixels per centimeter is equal to the size of 2,000 widths of the pixels. What happens if not scaled? What are the factors to our system if it's not scaled? Something is wrong in difference classification and patterns. That's why we scaled the image. Then segmenting the images. What's the need or what is the importance of segmenting the image? Our working area is only the two lung wings. Therefore, we are segmenting these images only because this is only our working area. So what is the importance? What is important? To identify the two lung wings and to identify restrict the analysis of features and identifying the region of interest of the lung. How to identify or how to segment the image? Using also thresholding. According to the publications, the best way to identify the two lung wings and identify the foreground and the background of images, also technique or also meter thresholding is important. That's why we select also algorithm. Then finally, in the pre-processing stage, we make histogram equalization. What's the need of making histogram equalization for our system? Because making have the same contrast value in order to decrease the computational complexity. Then, depending on this result, we calculate certain statistical features using texture feature analysis. That is contrast, correlation, energy, and homogeneity according to the Herlich formulas. Depending on this result, we classify whether this image is miliary tuberculosis or healthy. So it's better to sum up our state of art to detect the miliary TB. From 31 publications in the field of computer-aided diagnosis system for detecting miliary TB, gray-level co-occurrence matrix-based feature definition is attractive. But there is another publications that are what mainly focus or using the multi-feature of momentous or the combination with multi-dimensional clustering. But there is a weak classifier because it has no significant feature to identify the diseases. To reduce these multi-dimensional features, the researchers use some algorithms like PCA. But still it is computationally complex because it senses a result of last square cell. So it is computationally very, very difficult. So, therefore, what is our conclusion for our review? The future significance metric applicable to a particular problem of GLCM features or gray-level co-occurrence matrix. So the result of segmentation using outsource method is like this. This is the two languages, what we want for calculating the significant features and classifying whether it is miliary tuberculosis or not. So this image is avoiding another part of or unnecessary part of the image. That is why we are focusing on only the two languages. So the manifestation of miliary TB is happened like that. This is the miliary TB image slices. That is what contrastly enhanced in order to what better visibility of naked eyes. So this is the pattern or the nodules, the textures of the miliary within the average size of 2 millimeters. Depending on this, how to calculate the gray-level co-occurrence matrix to identify each types of features. So before that, how GLCM is working, how GLCM is computed. GLCM is computed for a frequency of a pairwise pixel transition within different 4 directions: 0 degree, 45 degree, 90 degree, and 35 degree. This is one example within the horizontal direction or 0 degree calculations. These images are an input image within the value 1 up to 8 intensities. So these values are mapped from 1 up to 8 in the horizontal direction and 1 up to 8 in the vertical direction. So if you say that frequency of pixel-wise transition is there in the gray-level co-occurrence matrix, so we look the neighbor pixels of the image. The neighbor pixels of the image for 1 is 1. So 1, 1 happens 1 time in the correlation. So 1, 2, how many times happen? 1, 2, 1, 2 in 0 degree or horizontal directions, only 2 times. And 1, 5 happens 1 times, 1, 5 throughout the input images. Based on this, we calculate the texture feature of miliary TB patterns. So depending on this, we are evaluating our system. Our system is concentrated on 4 parameters, that is contrast, correlation, energy, and homogeneity. So this is the evaluation of the system. When we see the contrast, we have 2 data sets, that is healthy and the miliary. And this is the distribution of the contrast value according to the result of gray-level co-occurrence matrix. The healthy distributed from 0.0012 up to 0.0022. The median of this is around 0.0019. The confidence interval is 95%. And this is the miliary TB images. And these sets have the distribution of 0.0025 up to 0.005, around 0.5, yeah, 0.005. And the median is 0.0035. And the other are correlation, energy, and homogeneity have some collisions between the healthy and the miliary TB. Therefore, it's not significant for the detection of TB. So we are concentrating only the contrast from these results. So when you make some threshold between the healthy and the miliary, you have clear view to diagnose or identify the healthy and the defected images. Depending on this, we calculate some statistical measurements. These measurements are called the standard effect sizes for an a priori testing future significances. So how to calculate this quotient D value? The set of Millery, the set of healthy, the mean of the set of healthy minus the mean of the set of Millery over the standard deviation. These values are the quotient D value, the quotient D value. So contrast have a huge value. Therefore, contrast is significant for identifying the TB. But the other is insignificant due to the value is thus. Therefore, contrast pairing is the highest significance. Contrast alone gets 100% sensitivity and 90% specificity, which means that all TB cases are detected in our system. But one of the 10 are counted as a pathological result. Finally, it's better to conclude our work. Higher order movement of gray-level co-occurrence standard is the best approach to this kind of texture feature extraction. So, quotient D to calculating and measuring our results gives a good a priori preference to diagnose the quality of only the single classifiers. So the value of D, or the standard effect size, is greater than 2. It indicates the clinical result is high sensitivity rate and low false positive results. In our case, has been achieved only the contrast, but we are mentioned 4 parameters. The result of the performance is 100% specificity and 90%, 100% sensitivity and 90% specificity for a single classifiers, which means that all TB cases are detected, but one of the 10 is counted as a pathological result. For the future, we will include more clinical data, and we will meet for the next conference, and the references within the IEEE format. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Joseph. Detection of Millery TB pathologies through image processing. Questions, please? No question? Okay, one. Another one? Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Gadam Alamu, came from Adama Science Technology, just co-author of this paper. Just adding some points. We are a big project in tuberculosis screening. This is a single feature to screen, especially military tuberculosis. So we are coming next conference with a full screening project or just a model to discriminate this one is TB or this one is TB by including clinical correlation and geospecialty data. Just adding this value. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is not a question.
Just comment. Just comment.
Okay, an author. At the back.
Thank you very much for a clear presentation. Of course, most of the issues are being declared very well and they are clear. But I get surprised when I hear one figure that says 100% and 90% sensitivity and specificity respectively. So I need some descriptions or explanation. How did you come up to these figures? Because if something is 100, there has to be substantial evidences that could show for the audience, so that if you give me something that could convince us is nice. Thank you.
One more question? Okay, Dr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you very much. I have two questions for you. The first one is, you are considering the 4 features, which are contrast, correlation, energy, and homogeneity. And in the result, you said contrast is going to be the most influential feature that we have. But in image processing, that's already known. We already know that contrast is the most influential feature in image processing. So I don't see, a new kind of contribution in this result. The other issue is, I wonder how you did segmentation before histogram equalization, because once you do segmentation, then your image is going to be, into 2 categories, the background and the foreground. And for that, if you do a histogram, you are going to have only a 2-bar graph, the background as one and the foreground. So I don't think the histogram should be done after segmentation, rather the other way around. Would you please comment on that?
Okay, please respond to this question.
Okay, thank you very much for understanding my presentation. How the result is 100% sensitivity and 90% specificity. We have reviewed recent literature. They get from their data sets 78.3. But our aim is to achieve in both sides 100%. But there is one failure. That's why we get 90% specificity. But we achieve all TVKs are detected. This is one way to enhancing and adding an additional algorithms ways to achieve a better result. So this is our effort to do much. The second question, you use 4 features, that is contrast, correlation, energy, and homogeneity. First, why we select these 4? Helix have 14 formulas, but we are concentrated on only 4, because these 4 formulas are depending on the texture features. Miliary tuberculosis by itself have a texture features. From that result, we are concentrated to calculate which is better result we'll get. When we compare using the quotient D, the better results get in contrast. Maybe it's obvious to get a better result in contrast. How it could be if it's not checked? But we check contrast is a better result. That is why we conclude contrast within the contrast value 100% specificity, sensitivity, and 90% specificity, as I understand. The next question, which is come first, histogram equalization or segmentation? I accept this comment as a comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. Next presenter. Masai Samuel is presenting. No.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Masai Samuel from Arba Minch University, and this is my master's thesis paper. And I am waiting such platform to share the knowledge management research I have gone through, and I would like to appreciate that MSIT took this opportunity to create a platform for sharing knowledge management as a transformation element. Okay, so different, as we can see from the Ethiopian perspective, the number of higher institutions are increasing, and currently we have more than 30 public universities, and of this, almost 9 or 10 universities are only having more than 5 years or 6 years experience. And though this is increasing, again, these universities are striving some transformational initiatives, including the BPR initiatives, BSC, Kaizen, and different transformation initiatives are emerging in universities. However, when we look this, we have to see the new management perspective, as we are in ICT-led competitive knowledge-based economy, and where world is currently now in a very competitive economy. So knowledge management, integrating the people, technology, process and organizational issues should be looking as a prime management perspective in this regard. So the problem of this, the statement of the problem, when we see the knowledge management researches, different strategies and models are currently mostly from larger enterprise and to business organizations. However, currently world universities are trying to get benefit out of knowledge management initiatives as their management perspective. And when we look into the status of organizational knowledge management in Ethiopian public universities, it's actually unclear, because no that much researches are done in this area to trigger how much knowledge management practices are exercised in public universities. And when we look at the HRM practices, which is maybe can be has important contribution to knowledge management, it's more of traditional, and recognition to the human resource as a valuable asset is very low. And again, when we look to the ICT utilization, the degree of awareness and real assimilation to the business strategy and real contextualization of and getting the most out of the ICT is still in question. And currently, the traditional approaches in our universities is not sufficient responding to the current context, and it's resulting in not only actually in Ethiopian context, but in others also it's resulting in structural crisis. So the general objective of this study is to develop a knowledge management strategy model for knowledge management practice in selected Ethiopian universities. This is actually by looking the potential practices, including HRM and ICT. The focus is on this. And again, we will look at the knowledge management process and knowledge management success factors, how much it is given attention in Ethiopian universities context. So the study was based on the Sarah Song components of knowledge management strategic development, and the following topics were mainly focused for literature: knowledge management process, success factors, the strategies, and the relationship of ICT and knowledge management, and HRM and knowledge management. So this is actually the concept of knowledge management strategy component. So knowledge management strategy, it should consider the knowledge management strategy types, and it should do the knowledge management process, the ICT adoption, and HRM practices, and it should consider the success factors which are critical in determining the successful implementation of knowledge management. So in this research, cross-sectional survey research method was employed, questionnaire, interviews, and observations were conducted, multi-stage sampling, So the Ethiopian, this from the public universities, 3 universities were selected purposively and proportionately from each university's administrative staffs, and to address the inclusion of the HRM and ICT administrative staffs, disproportionate sampling was employed. So from around 5,800 population, 362 was used statistically for sampling, and it was allocated accordingly. So when we look at the participation of the respondents, around 26.2% of the respondents are female, and 73.8% is male. So for checking the knowledge management practices, 32 statements were tested, and these are 15 from ICT component and 7 from HRM, 5 from knowledge management process, and 5 from knowledge management success factors. And accordingly, maybe you can see from the published paper itself, so most of the potential practices are the high percentage of agreement by the respondents are knowledge management enabling ICT adoption practices, around 76%. And the other results are actually complementary to this finding. That means most of the around 55.2% of the respondents agreed that their institution is giving concern to ICT infrastructure. This is one of the knowledge management success factor. And recruitment and selection based on qualification and experience is also from HRM, and knowledge utilization from other knowledge management processes have got high percentage of agreement. And it has complementing the first result. And regarding the strategies, actually 54.4% of agreement for product leadership. This is actually not surprising because universities are trying to produce qualified graduates and quality research. And one interesting result is there is a high percentage of agreement for exploitative and codification strategy over explorative and personalization strategy. So this is again coincides with the high percentage of agreement given to the knowledge management enabling ICT adoption practice and the knowledge utilization. So this is more should be given to the codification and exploitative strategies rather than explorative strategies. Again, Pearson correlation between knowledge management strategy model and the knowledge management practice. Actually, the knowledge management process components is computed to mean and HRM practice. Again, each of the components were computed to the mean, and they were correlated with their strategic readiness, the business strategy, the HRM strategy, the ICT strategy, and responsible office, which is trying to take care of knowledge management process and success factors. And accordingly, each of the strategies are correlated with the respective practice, and more importantly, the business strategy and the HRM strategy is correlating to each of the knowledge management practices, which is again a promising result that we should consider the advantage of working with HRM practices. So the proposed knowledge management strategy model looks like this. I'm proposing, the researcher is proposing the codification strategy as a leading strategy and personalization strategy as a supplementing strategy to create a culture of doing knowledge management practices. This can be practiced by, for example, whenever they are during recruitment and selection, qualification, experience, and they should also consider ICT skill. And in their training, they can consider the ICT skill, and in the incentive reward on their knowledge utilization, and then performance evaluation, they should again consider knowledge utilization and facilitate different workshops which promote such cultures. And in the ICT adoption practices, internal networks, social communities of practice, knowledge portals, e-learnings, expert directories, data mining, this can be used as ICT adoption practice for codification strategy. And as a success factor, ICT infrastructure should be given attention. And in the middle one, the knowledge management success factors in the middle can contribute to both codification and the personalization strategy, the knowledge management strategy itself, the process and the leadership. And it is again proposed the knowledge process to be cyclic one as shown in the figure. So to conclude, the study reflected the potentials of existing related organizational process and practice. This is ICT and HRM in the realization of knowledge management. And there is the relationship, the correlation reflected a component-wise addressing of the strategy. And a recommendation, we recommend increasing the sample universities, incorporate other office practice like library, and including academic staff and students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Masai. This is the last presentation of this morning. Okay, I see hands. Okay, Dr. Sallo and Dr. Salamon.
Thank you. In your presentation, I think in your proposal, the personalization strategy, what do you mean personalization? Most of the things you already listed, it looks like capacity building or something. So I know personalization is another thing, so why you say it is personalization? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the chance, and thank you, the presenter. Have you defined what knowledge is? I'm not sure. And what is knowledge management, actually? Probably you are just talking about information management. Have you distinguished between these two? Thank you.
Well, one last question.
Sort of ties into a question I had, the previous question raised, is it would be good to understand what are the existing examples, maybe a few examples of the knowledge management systems that exist, and that would be helpful in terms of understanding what you mean by knowledge management, as well as understanding where the starting point is. So are there knowledge management, I would assume there are knowledge management systems, maybe not as well developed as this that you're proposing. Could you give us some examples of knowledge management systems that will be incorporated by this, into this?
Thank you. 3 questions you have. Now you can respond.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, regarding the first question, what does it mean by personalization? Actually, this is a very common term in the knowledge management strategies, typologies. So when we talk about personalization, usually this is the kind of strategy which focuses to get the tacit knowledge of the employees or the individuals. And personalization is a kind of making socializations, and such initiating strategies should be adopted to make them actually explorative, or make them to bring some new knowledge. And this is in contrast to the codification strategy, which tries to focus on exploiting the existing knowledge. This is the kind of strategy which focuses on the tacit knowledge. This is a kind of strategy. And regarding the definition of the knowledge and knowledge management, actually this is a very important question. Regarding knowledge management, regarding knowledge, dominant perspectives are there, that knowledge considers explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. And regarding knowledge management practice, actually it is operationalized to be, knowledge management practice is knowledge management in Ethiopian context, operationalized to be knowledge management enabling ICT adoption practices, HRM practice relevant for knowledge management, and practices done for knowledge management process, and again practices to take care of knowledge management success factors. So it is operationalized according to this context to my paper. And regarding the knowledge management examples, So this one is also related to the first question. Actually, in Ethiopian university contexts, most of the practices you can mention, like the intranet, internal network sharing, the groupware people use again, the group mails, those things are only knowledge management enabling ICT adoption practices. However, the knowledge management systems, expert directories, and decision support systems, expert systems, these are not that much common in Ethiopian university. That's why I was forced to operationalize to our context so that we can get advantage of the existing practices in our university. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This will make the end of the before lunch session. Now we'll have a lunch break of 1 hour, and we'll come back at 2 p.m. in the afternoon for the afternoon session. In the afternoon session, there are 2 papers to be presented. I'm informed by the organizers that there will be dignitaries, representatives of the ministry, and it will be lively presentation of the remaining 2 papers. So please come back again after lunch. And lunch will be served at the same place where we had tea this morning. Thank you very much.
እስካሁን ለነበረን ቆይታ እናመሰግናለን። ከሰዓትም ተመልሰን እዚህ ነው የምንመጣው። 2 ፔፐር ብቻ ነው የቀረን። ከፔፐሩ በኋላ የመቀሌ ዩኒቨርሲቲ እና የአዲስ አበባ ዩኒቨርሲቲ የሮቦቲክስ ጌም ይኖራል። ስለዚህ ከሁለቱ ፔፐር በኋላ እሱን ውድድር እንከታተላለን ማለት ነው። ምሳ ሻይ ቦታው ጋር ቅድም ጋር ፕሬዘንት ያደረጋችሁ ልጆች ወደዚህ